Welcome to the session. The session is called Internet Exchange Business Model. Basically, the session actually was sponsored by APNIC, submitted by APNIC. I was a local host to help APNIC to facilitate discussion with the local people and also with all the panelists. Initially, I introduced myself. My name is Kenny Huang from TWIGF and as well as APNIC. I'd like to introduce the two panelists sit next to me. One is Wang Yinjie from Zhonghua Telecom. Another one is Zhu Xianliang from National High Performance Computing Center. And we have another two panelists from remote site. One is Toyoma Sang from APIX, stand for Asia Pacific Internet Exchange. He is the chair of APIX. And another one is Chi-Hu Zheng. He's the director of APNIC. So I'd like to, for the courtesy, I'd like to start from people from remote side. And can I first allow Toyoma-san to be the first speaker? And if you are ready, you can go ahead. Toyoma-san, your turn.
Yeah. Oh, thank you very much. So, just before the starting the session, so Chi-Hu will be start to display how to explain. So I will introduce myself just briefly. So my name is Katsuya Toyama, chair of the APIX Association, and also COO of the JPNet, the one of the Japanese largest internet exchange. Okay, so today, thank you very much for inviting me as a panelist, and I would like to, I'm very happy to join and to discuss the IXP business model here. So, the Chi-Hu, please first explain about the IXP.
Okay, switch it to
yeah, sorry for that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'll do it first.
Yeah, as we discussed.
Okay. Can you see my slide?
Yes, we can see. You take the control for the video.
Okay. Yeah, I have a slide deck of like 27 pages. I don't think I have enough time to go through it. I'll go through it very, very quickly. When we talk about like IXP, in fact, I think there's one important concept behind is the interconnection or peering. And when we do not have the IX, I think we will do like point-to-point circuits, and over that we'll do interconnections. And if we have like 10 networks wanting to do interconnections, we actually would need to have 45 circuits, and then for each and every network there needs to be 9 router ports depending on the connection. But if we have an IX and we set up like this, or if we want like redundancy, we may have 2 switches to connect to the individual networks. Then we will save a lot of circuits, save a lot of router ports. Like for 10 networks, we only need like 10 circuits or 20 circuits, depending on whether you want redundancy or not, and also like 1 router port or 2 routers port per network. That will save a lot. And IX would help us to keep local traffic local, would help us to have cheaper connectivity, faster speed, lower latency, and will help actually encourage the development of local content, local applications, and it may help local data center business, and everyone will be benefited. There are a number of different possible models for running the IX. Of course, there may be like commercial IX, and there can be non-profit IX. And commercial IX, are free to do anything because they may not need to care about neutrality that much. But for like non-profit setup, they tend to be more cautious. Neutrality is more important. And for developed economies like Taiwan, IXP are mostly like business, even for not-for-profit setup. And usually there will be less government involvement. And usually there will be multiple IX. And if you still cannot keep local traffic local, then someone needs to step up. And I want to highlight like IX and data centers in developed economy are natural partners. You can see like multiple IX in one data center, or one IX in multiple data centers. This kind of healthy competition is very good because customers can have choice, and also you can have better resilience. I won't talk about this. If this is for the not-for-profit setup, I would say membership-based model would be the best. And the one important thing that you need to consider is to start your IX in the more neutral locations, like maybe university. I forgot to mention I was with HKIX, Hong Kong Internet Exchange, before. HKIX was set up in the university, and now is one of the biggest in the region. But here in Taiwan, I'm not seeing a lot of like carrier-neutral commercial data centers. It's very important for like developed economies, I would say, if you can have more carrier-neutral commercial data centers, so that people can have more options on like data center as well as carriers. Financial model, even for non-profit IX is very important because like you need to have a long-term sustainable model in order to sustain, because it's for long-term. You may need seed money from like someone, maybe government, maybe like other like organizations, and after that you need to have a long-term sustainable charging model like this one. Maybe you can. You should charge a port charge in order to gather enough income for your operations. And these are like possible like model that you can consider, and its likelihood of sustainability. I won't go through it, but I want to highlight that you cannot set up an IX just depend on sponsorship or volunteers, because it's very, very risky, because the money is not guaranteed. So, you should think about like having a charging model in order to sustain. There is always politics involved in early IX development, especially the larger ISP would, object to that idea. You need to, convince everybody so that, they are willing to contribute, they're willing to participate, and then you can have IX, a successful IX. I won't go through this, but as I mentioned earlier, government funding is probably needed, especially during the infancy stage. But like after a while, the IX should have a long-term sustainable charging model in order to sustain. And if you actually have a good local IX, the local IX can become a regional IX. The example would be HKIX. As I mentioned, originally it was a local IX, but gradually after the success of like keeping the local traffic local, it gradually becomes a regional IX. Now a lot of different networks from different countries are connecting to it. So it's becoming a regional IX, and it helped Hong Kong to become a regional hub in the region. So I would say Taiwan should consider it. My final remarks for this part is like IX continue to play a key role. And you need to find a sustainable model for operations. Neutrality is important. And at the end, I think keeping local traffic local is the most important thing for the whole economy, like Taiwan. That's all I would say.
Okay, thank you, Chi-Hu. And I would like to switch to the next panelist, to Toyoma-san. Toyoma-san going to introduce the ICE situation, market situation in Tokyo. Thank you.
Yep. Thank you very much, Kenny. So, can you see my slides?
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
Thank you. Yep. So, I would like to talk about just a little about APIX and the internet peering in Japan. Okay. So first, I already introduced myself. Okay. And the JPNAP is the largest internet exchange in Japan. And we have 2 internet exchanges in Tokyo and Osaka now. Okay, so this is the size of the networks. Okay, so currently we have 173 networks in Tokyo and 71 networks in Osaka. Yep. And totally the peak traffic is 2.67 terabit. So this is a graph of our traffic. Okay, so gradually increasing, and during the COVID situation from May to June, the traffic is increased in that period, as you could see here. Okay, so I'll briefly introduce an APIX. So APIX is an Asia Pacific Internet Exchange Association, and it is an association of IXP in this region. And this was established in 2010, so we almost have a 10 years history. So from the beginning, gradually the number of the members are increasing, and currently we have 32 internet exchanges in the APAC region, and from 18 countries and economies. So as you can see, from Taiwan, we have the 2 members. So this right here, also TPIX and the TWIX. Okay, so to mention that HKIX. So HKIX is also a member of the APIX, and these are the list of the members. So okay, so let's go to the next one. So I would like to introduce the internet peering situation in Japan from an internet exchange perspective. Okay, so first I'd like to talk about the background in the carriers market in Japan. And as you may know, there are 3 big carriers in Japan: NTT, KDDI, and SoftBank. And the NTT was an incumbent carrier. So currently they were regulated, and they are providing fixed and mobile services from a separate companies. So you may know that for the fixed networks, NTT Communications, and the mobile services for NTT Docomo. But in the KDDI and the SoftBank, they are both providing the fixed and the mobile services. Okay? And internet exchange. Okay? So there are 4 major internet exchanges in Japan. And according to the category Chifu explained before, all these major internet exchanges in Japan are commercial internet exchanges. Of course, in Japan, there are some member-based internet exchanges, but they are not major. Yeah. So this is because the Japanese end user and the Japanese ISPs are very sensitive to the quality of the services. So at the beginning of the internet exchange era, they are hoped to have commercial-based internet exchanges to provide the carrier quality services. So they wanted to be to make a commercial based and take the responsibility to the services. So that's the reason that in Japan the commercial-based internet exchanges are major. And as you could see, there are 3 carrier groups, and each internet exchanges belong to a carrier group. And only the exception is Equinix. Equinix is coming from the US, and they are also providing their internet exchanges and their data center. Okay, so currently the connected S numbers and the peak traffic is described here. Yeah, so almost 3 internet exchanges are almost the same size, and just a little smaller Equinix is. Okay, so this is the current situation. Okay, and about the peering interconnection in Japan, and there are, of course, as you know, the internet exchange's role has been changed, especially this 10 or 15 years. As that means the major OTT players come into the Japanese market and delivery their content directly to the Japanese ISP and Japanese end users. So these are the big players in Japan. And the current situation, that we are competing with each other from the carrier perspective and also internet exchange perspectives. So as I mentioned, there are 4 commercial internet exchanges in Japan, and we are always in a competition. So one of our customers says that, the JPIX offered much cheaper prices than JPNet. So, okay, so I will try to reduce the price for you. So this kind of competition is very hard, okay? And of course, with regard to the peering policy, the major carriers have very restrictive policies for peering with the local and small ISPs. So they are connected to the internet exchanges, but rarely peer within smaller ISPs. And content service providers and the content delivery networks, so CSP and CDN, are relatively open, and they are connected to internet exchanges. And they are open, but sometimes they do not peer the smaller ISPs, which do not satisfy the criteria, like the traffic to content providers more than 3 gig traffic, and if less than the 3 gig, they do not peer. It's such kind of a criteria they have, and sometimes they don't peer, but relatively they are open. And these days, especially recent years, the major carriers may allow CSP or CDN to peer over internet exchanges. We are not sure that peer is in the paid or not, but these are the recent phenomena. Okay, and as I mentioned, these internet exchanges belong to a carrier group, but its operation is open. I mean that no restriction about for peering between the participants of the internet exchanges, so they can peer with others. And of course, peer or not is decided by each player and each criteria. Okay. So from my perspective, there are no regulation and business competition, and there are a substantial number of players in Japan. And this environment is very beneficial for the participants or the networks from their cost perspective. So competition and a lot of internet exchanges and sometimes in areas. So there is the business-based competition is in a very good for cost perspective. And of course, I have to mention about the regulation. There is almost a non-regulation from the government or regulators about internet exchanges and peering. I've heard in some Asian countries, sometimes the government or regulator regulates peering with each other, even for the bigger guys, Yeah, but in Japan, there are no such a regulation. So that every players peer with each other by their policy and business basis. Okay, so this is just brief explanation about an APIX and the peering and IXP business model situation in Japan. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Toroma-san. I'd like to switch to Okay, I switch to Wang Yanjie from Zhonghua Telecom. He's going to introduce TWIGF. Okay, thank you.
So the slides. Yep. So, good morning, everyone. My name is Jake from TWIGF. And on behalf of TWIGF Working Group, I'd like to give a big shout out to TWIGF and Kenny. Thanks for having this excellent session to us and the multi-stakeholders to discuss more about Internet exchange. So I'd like to share something with TWIGF. So what is your first impression when we mentioned about the TWIGF? On your left-hand side, there is a chocolate, right? Yeah, called TWIGF. And you can take it and get lots of fun and share with your friends for funny. And on your right-hand side, there is also a TWIGF, Internet Exchange, Taiwan Internet Exchange. And as my personal, I don't think it's funny as well. So, but for the participants or members that are interested about the Internet Exchange, what is the Internet Exchange? So, I'd like to share some information with you guys. First one, we have a S number 7481. Oh, okay, it's a TWIGF S number. And we have a redundant network infrastructure. We have 2 route server and redundant switch, and that multiple routers for the members. They can just get inside for the multiple 10G or 100 gig. And right now we have a very open policy, as I know. So we like to share this. Our main POP is located in Taipei, and we also have extension POP in Banqiao, Taichung, and Kaohsiung, from north to the south. And here are some members' information. You can search it on our new website. We just launched it last year. So as you can see, we have lots of famous ISP in Taiwan. So if you join us, you can just negotiate with them to exchange your traffic. And also have cloud service provider, content providers to have a lot of internet traffic. So more about this, you can just go to our new website, www.twix.net. And for the parent DB, we have lots of member IP addresses or BGP station addresses. And if you like to just call us, you we have a phone call right here, phone number right here. You can also have information on our website, or just email us. Okay. And for recently update, we cooperate with TWIGF. We have launched an API validator service for our members. So if you like to have an API session, just prepare your router and do authorization with this one. And for our route server, we also do the RV function. We just have API validation state policy. So we already enabled it. So if you have any question, just discuss with us. And I got this 2 more information from our sales manager. We got a 10G port fee reduction, and we get ready for the 100 gig interface. And we will launch a DDoS mitigation service very soon. So if you like to get a trial service, just contact with us. And it's the final slides. For the Internet Exchange, Internet Exchange is a critical Internet infrastructure for ISPs or ICPs. And why they would like to join us, because they can minimize their latency to exchange traffic and get a better quality with others. So I think that's a very important key point for them. To the providers, they can get more and more traffic and better quality with us. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Jack. Now I move to the last panelist, 朱贤良主任、副主任。
麻烦简报。 我需要剪吧？是的。Good afternoon, everyone. I'm behavior of National Center for High Performance Center, and since we are not yet a internet exchange player, so I would like to talk about what we have planned for next 4 years. And I think maybe it will be easy for me to use Mandarin to explain our mission. So sorry for yeah. 现在用那个国语来讲这个事情可能比较容易一点。那国家高速网络与计算中心，我们叫做网络与计算中心两个角色。所以在过去的应该是20几年来，就是有的时候就像股票市场一样，有的时候网络比较被重视，有的时候网络就比较不被重视，变成高速计算的这个部分比较被重视。那在高速计算，在过去4年的我们的这个前瞻计划当中，那我们主要被赋予的 mission 是建制台湾的 AI 的计算环境。那在未来4年的这个前瞻计划里面，那我们被赋予做相关的这个网络的这个应用，这样。那国网中心我们最重要的下面的 infrastructure 就是从下面的网络，我们可以看到最底层我们做高速计算跟 AI 的网络。那同时我们有储存的设施，还有网络的这个系统。那在上面有相对应的核心技术是我们要开发来对外服务。然后开发相对应的技术以后，自然我们会有一些平台来对外服务。那包含生医方面、治安方面，然后 marketplace， 还有一些分析的工具，还有 AIoT， 还有 AI 的 marketplace。这样我没办法按到下面的一页，可以帮我按下一页吗？抱歉。那大家都知道，我们国网中心大概维运这个 Torrent 网络从2004年开始。那刚开始的时候，当然我们因为在高速计算的时候，网络也很重要，所以我们开始有 TANET 2， 然后到2004年的时候，我们有 Torrent， 那建了一个环岛的光纤网络，有12个区网中心，97所大专院校，50万个用户在使用。那同时我们有国外的这个20G 的网络。那网络平均的使用率都达 99.9%。那我们除了这个网络是跟它内一起共用这个硬体，然后变成有2个这个逻辑的网络，那我们也协助整个这双网络的一个网络的管理。下一页，我没办法。好，那在今年度开始以后，就明年开始，我们有几个新的 mission。然后就是会规划一个公共网络的这个交换中心。那这个网络交换中心，我们是希望把4个网络，包含TANET、Torrent、GSM 跟 ASNet， 然后变成一个网络的部分。那用双网络的部分，在台中，在国网中心的台南跟新竹的部分，那做一个公共网络。那希望就是说，在透过这样的时候，能够让政府的网络。还有跟学术研究的网络能够互相有一些这个，一方面是提供这个更好的这个所谓的强韧度，那也希望说在备援网络效率有一些提升。下一页。那在提供网络服务的过程里面，那其实还有一些相对应的这个服务需要提供服务，那包含了这个。运算的服务、储存的服务跟资料云的服务，那这个部分就是那也提供了一些治安、众生防护，还有一些资源自动扩散，还有资料备援的部分。好，那除了这个部分，我们会在各主要的节点那个布置 CDN， 那能够节省这个网络的这个整个频繁跟 traffic。那这是最后一页，就是。希望在明后年以后，或许我们会有一个这个网络交换中心的模式出来。 然后在这个部分里面，我们觉得我们也会跟国际的海缆业者有一些沟通，然后会在这个部分，那因为透过了整个这个网络以后，那国网中心之前我们在过去4年建制的这个计算能力、储存能力还有资料能力，那能够在这个部分能够做更有的，就是不只是网络的串接，因为其实光网络的串接其实是很难有一个 business 出来。可是我们作为国家，就是一个财团法人，作为政府部门，有点类似政府部门的，那我们能够提供更多的内容来这个做，除了网络的串接以外，有一个更好的贡献，这样子。好，那这是以上我的报告，谢谢。
Okay, thank you, Dr. Zhu Xianliang, Deputy Director of NCHC. So, okay, all the panelists already run the first round for their presentation. And here comes to our first panel discussion. I don't have any specific question in mind, but basically I'd like to raise the first question would be, because for economy like Taiwan or I believe probably in Japan would be very similar. The topology between ISP in probably quite sluggish, remains sluggish for the last decade because there are tremendous topology, tremendous traffic between ISPs. So is there still any margin or any room for internet exchange to sustain or to grow in such kind of very competitive market situation? I'd like to first ask Chi-Hu first. Can you, based on the first question, can you give your view?
Okay. Basically, I think IX is to help people to do interconnection easily at a higher speed and cheaper rates. And even though like the ISPs in Taiwan have already interconnected, but you probably are using point-to-point circuits. If you have an IX, you probably can save circuit costs. That's one point. Another point is I want to stress that IX in fact shouldn't just support the ISPs. I think IX can support like enterprises, universities, banks, and government departments and everyone, so long as they have the portable IP addresses and the AS number, they can do independent peering interconnections by themselves. The use case can be, say for example, when there is a university which has like daily data transfer with a hospital, maybe in the order of 1 terabyte. If you depends on only your ISP, then probably you need to pay a lot, and also you may not be able to get very high speed connectivity, etc. But if you both connected to an IX, you can have like much higher speed connection. That's a use case. Another use case, as the previous speaker mentioned, nowadays a lot of enterprises, banks, universities, etc., they would like to have high-speed connection to the cloud, and in fact, IX can help these kind of networks to connect to the cloud with very high speed, and that would mean they don't need to rely on normal ISPs to provide the connectivity. And as I mentioned, yes, the benefit would be higher speed, lower price, and lower latency. So I would say, yeah, there's still room for IX to develop.
Thank you. And I'd like to switch to Toyama-san. Based on your experience, especially in Japan or in Tokyo, can you share your view with us? Thank you.
Yeah. So I agree with what Chief said. So IXPs have a very big room to expand their business into this field. And as internet traffic is increasing, Yeah, so a lot of use cases of IoT like kind of things is increasing. So the total traffic is increasing, and IXP's role is still very important. Yeah, but I I would like to share one concern. Yeah, from now we are seeing the mobile age. In the global 5G will coming into this market, and they are starting to compete with each other. And a lot of people are expecting that 5G. And also, I concerned about the mobile operators' power will become stronger and stronger in this field. So in the case, of course, now IXP is an interconnection point. But in the Japanese case, 3 big carriers, and now we are adding 1 more mobile carriers. And the interconnection between them is a very key role of the interconnection in the future. So at the time, such kind of interconnection point may be decided by the mobile operators by themselves, not an internet service providers or other players. So that is one of the concern about the growth of an internet exchange. So I think still the internet exchange's role is important, I believe, and the JPNAP is trying to be the position of an interconnection in this world. So we are decided to open a third internet exchange in the Kyushu area, and such kind of interconnection point from the content and the eyeball is going to the edge, closer to the edge. So in the future, not a lot of internet exchanges are needed in the country area, in the country. So the JPNAP will try to make such kind of a new internet exchange in a local area, and try to that one will be a better profitable or not, or can play a very important role in the future. So that's our try.
Thank you, Toroma-san. I think that's a very valuable insight. I'd like to move to Jack Huang, especially as a sole IX provider in Taiwan. And can you share your view with us? Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I think that's back to the basic conception of the internet exchange. We have an assumption that traffic should be growing and growing time by time, right? So I think in terms of the traffic exchange or the transaction convenience, does anyone in this room will think that the few places you can do transaction is better? I don't think so, right? Yeah. So for facilitating interactions with the consumers, it's more convenient for us to have more places to go shopping, and I think that's the reason, as my personally, that's the reason why why I don't have the more money at the end of the month, right? So let's back to the topic. It's the same situation. The more places for providers to do interconnections or exchange traffic, it should be more convenient and have lower cost to do so. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. I move to the last one, Zhu Xianliang, Deputy Director from NCHC. He is willing to share his view, especially they are going to have an ambitious plan for the next 4 years.
Yes, since we are not have any experience for running the internet exchange, but we will also have a very good experience in running the backbone of torrent. So we have a lot of management, a network of management, and we hope we can get the experience from like a Sifang or like a Zhonghua Dianxin, and we have a very good relationship for both parties, and hope when we get a new mission and we got a lots of people and lots of friends we join to work out this project, and we are willing to maybe next year or we can exchange our what we have developed for internet exchange. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Since we are first round for our panelists, I'd like to leave the question to open to the floor. If you have any question regarding to the first issue, please go to the mic and say your name and or your affiliation. Thank you.
Hello everyone. This is Leo from Zhonghua Telecom. And I appreciate all the support from this session who has made this session fabulous and awesome. And firstly, I have some questions about specifically to the Jack who is working for TWIGF. Based on previous slides, I see keywords which is about neutrality. I'd like to ask the TWIGF, do you think that there's a neutral for TWIGF? And what kind of a neutral service you can provide to the peers? I think it's an important question for peers who want to join this internet exchange. Okay, but this is the first question. I have the following questions. The second question would be, if I'd like to join this, maybe TWIGF, what kind of direct contact you could provide to us now? I mean immediately for my immediate service. And the third question would be, if I join the TWIGF, what kind of support could I get from maybe the support from Epinic or TWIGF? Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Sounds like an advertisement. I leave the question to Jack.
Okay, back to the first one. As you can see on our webpage, we have already got lots of members from the famous ISPs, right? And I have to ask for you for how to define the neutrality for the internet exchange. Because for us, we are carrier neutral internet exchange. We will not going to interrupt the peering between our members. So if you like to get more traffic from them, you can just negotiate with them. And if you like to have a further contact window to them, I can just have a mail loop between you and the target service providers. So I don't think there will be a question actually. Yeah. And for the second one, I think for the internet exchange, we have our sales team right here. So maybe it's just sit around you over there. Hi, Ivan. Yeah. So just get contact with them, okay? And what's your third question? Oh, yeah, for support, I think you may answer for the support from Jehu from Epinic and Kenny from TWIGF, right? It's better to have some response to them.
Okay, now consider as an advertisement. Sure. Okay, is that answering your question?
Because I just hear that there are many experience from Japan or the Epinic, the rest of the country, they have the experience in TWIGF. So I'd like to know that what kind of support could TWIGF or the Epinic would provide what kind of support to TWIGF?
I would refer to our training director, Jihu Chen. He will be responsible to what kind of training they will provide to you with the charge. Jihu?
Well, in fact, I don't think TWIGF needs us a lot because they are like very developed. But like for other IX, we actually can provide a lot of like training, technical assistance support if they need us. And another thing I want to add, maybe, we are also doing the root server development, especially like mRoots. We are collaborating with White Project, JPRS, to help them to deploy M-routes all around the region. And so one of the things that we can do is to set up an M-routes at TWIGF and other IX so that more networks can have direct connection to M-routes. I think this is one of the things that we can do.
Plus, TWIGF also provide RPKI service, so that's what you get for ROA, and you also establish route validation. So I think this continue to develop based on the routing architecture, routing security as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, any other question regarding to the first issue we mentioned here? Okay, no more question. So here we still have time, so I have a second question. As Chihu mentioned, and also Toyama-san also mentioned, the internet exchange business model is critical, especially we have been mentioned so many times, like a carrier neutral, and also we need to have some neutral position, neutral location. But also we also curious what kind of financial model can be subsidized for the internet exchange, because it's probably not profitable. And probably the company need to subsidize the cost for running the internet exchange. Or do you consider the government should sponsor or subsidize the cost for initial setup for the operation cost for internet exchange? And starting from the same, from Chihu first, what you consider from cost and from business point of view, how to make the internet exchange more sustainable?
Like what I mentioned, especially for developed economies like Taiwan, I think government's involvement should be minimal because commercial operation can help a lot. But of course, the main goal is still keeping local traffic local. If you cannot achieve that, then government may need to step in. But when they step in, they probably would just help the initial stage of maybe setting up an not-for-profit IX, and then let the IX to find a long-term sustainable financial model, and then the government should stay away as much as possible. I think this is the usual case for developed economies.
Okay, thank you. And so it's just free market. And I move to Toyama-san. What's your opinion regarding to that issue?
Yeah. So I'm almost the same as in the Chifu says. Already, as I mentioned, in Japan, no interference from government and industry lead and self-regulate. Self-regulate means that we are doing the fair business between us. So the freedom is very important. And if there is something to consider that, I've heard that in Taiwan, the Taiwan Telecom is the bigger one and very strong only the one. So in the case, it will be some obstacles, then some discussion is necessary. But now I'm hearing with your discussion, the Taiwan is also having the free market. I mean the open market. Yeah, so there is no concerns about that. Okay, so I think also believe that the freedom is very important. So and also the players in this market and do the fair things. That is also the important. Yeah, and the competition is very important, but the too hard competition may damage the business and internet exchanges. Yeah, still the Japan, the internet exchanges are just a little profitable, but the profit rate becomes lower and lower due to the competition. But still, we are trying to use the much more inexpensive switches and the high density switches and try to reduce the cost. Yeah, so that is also beneficial for the networks which connect to internet exchanges. So the competition is very important for this market. Thank you.
Okay. So next, I would like to move to our neutral IX provider, Chunghwa Telecom. And Chunghwa Telecom is a 800-pound big gorilla and with very strong financial arms. So suppose TWIGF should have any financial difficulty running the TWIGF as well. Okay, Chunghwa Telecom, Jack Chen.
Hi. No, today on behalf of the TWIGF working group, actually. So, I think for the internet exchange sustainable issue, I think we must meet the requirements from the members, and then we can provide more services, value-added services such as RPKI, such as 100 gig ports or traffic exchange with them, or to promote, give some incentives from the tier 1 ISPs as well. So I think the answer has already been mentioned by Jehu and Tayama-san. So I think the key points should be the requirement meetment from the members.
Okay, thank you. I move to the last one, Zhu Xianliang, Deputy Director from NCHC.
Since we are kind of a government agent, and so people maybe think we have don't worry about finance issue, but actually it's not. Because when the government support you, they just give you money for hardware to set up. After that, you need to care about your maintenance fleet. Maintenance is actually very expensive. But when we get a new project for next 4 years and we start to worry about how about next after 4 years, how we can sustain for finance. So we have I think because some advantage for National Center for High Performance Computing is also they have a computing resource, and we also have a lot of data of storage system, and we have some school or university and that stuff. And after we set up this kind of internet exchange, we also have connect with the government network. So we hope when government they need some data, and some industry, the company they need some government data, and use this kind of data when they can access this data, and we can have some like a kind of business model. We also another one we were planning to cooperate with the local cable company, because local cable company, they also have internet access, and so we can help them to get a network and also get a computing resource or get a content. And we hope with this another business we will like a cooperator and will be a cloud service provider or lots of major company, and they need the data or they need the computing power. So we hope we can build up, because we have lots of different resources, and based on this resource, we hope we can have a kind of a business model for internet exchange. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I think for the initial effort, government contribution is quite important, especially for the seed stage. And when Deputy Director Zhu mentioned about what happened after 4 years, and there will be another 4 years. Okay, it's time to open to the floor. Any question regarding to IX business model, financial sustainability? And please go to the mic, say your name and your affiliation. Any other question? Or either panelists can compete in each other. Okay, we'll forget about this one. Please go to the mic.
Okay, here is my question.
Your name?
Okay, this is Guo Weiwu. I'm the founder of the TWIGF. And as I heard from the National Supercomputing Center, and he talking about he is a public internet exchange. But it's quite interesting is what I heard you are talking about, you have a lot of data and the people connect with you so they can access your data. But it sounds like that is not really the purpose of the IX. The interesting one is how you can attract the major ISP within to connect to your IX. If the major ISP not going to connect to your IX, then the public IX in the National Supercomputing Center is almost nothing. Since there's a Zhonghua Telecom sitting next to you, so if a Zhonghua Telecom say, no, we are not interested in connect to you, we are not going to peer with you, and then the whole question will be very exciting, no? And more than that, the same problem, say, if Google say, I want to connect to the public supercomputing center, the IX, so I can exchange the data with all the Taiwan academic networking, the university and school or whatever. And are you going to charge them? As I know, the Google never pay anybody money. So you want to give them the free charge, or you're going to charge them. If you're going to charge them, they are not connect, then your IX is a fail again. So there's a lot of challenge, going to happen because at this moment, no matter how many data in the National Supercomputing Center, to be honest, those data for IX point of view, for most user point of view, they don't care. Because your data is for the scientists, for engineer. It's not for the general, ordinary peoples.
Okay, is that question or comment?
This is an open question, though.
Question.
Even for the online, the Chiu and the Toyama-san.
Okay, all the panelists, actually, Go's question is to all the panelists. So all panelists, you are free to challenge, to criticize. Anyone who wants to go first? Anyone who wants to go first? Dr. Zhu.
And Dr. Wu Guowei is our former deputy director. So we have faced lots of challenge when we run in internet exchange. But we have mentioned in Taiwan is a major two internet exchange is TPIX and TWIGF. And we have, because we don't have experience actually is to say that. And we just have running, and we are major, our user is from school right now. So we don't have lots of experience, but we have already talked to TPIX, and we set up an internet exchange, and they will be our first ISP to connect with us. And that's their experience. I think we can learn from them, because we are newcomer, and we are not, and for honest to speak, for business or any financial is not our major goal. Our major goal is a free for government mission. So lots of, I think we still miss up lots challenges. So we need lots of consultant or lots of people, and we can help what kind of became the latest kind of government set up the internet exchange and how to run them, and got a major party to get a benefit. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any panelists are willing to comment based on Guowei's question?
Okay, so I'll say, just a little think about, So, creating a new internet exchange isn't very hard. And if there in the market, 2 internet exchanges exist, then the ISPs are enough for to use the 2 internet exchanges for redundancy. So, it is very hard to third place, and becomes to the same size. But, in the Japanese case, the JPIX and the JPNOT was in the two big internet exchanges. But then recently, the others are coming too. And the BBIX was in took the low price strategy. So at the time in Japan, the data center cost, electric power costs, and also the Ethernet switch cost were relatively higher than the other countries, especially the US. So we had just a little higher prices from comparing to the global market. But BBIX took the low price market strategy, and they offer a global price. So they became then more attracted the ISPs. So one thing is to the low pricing strategy is important. And the second one is in the content. These days, as we mentioned, that the content provider's role in the internet exchanges becomes very huge. So if, of course, the content provider can be invited to your internet exchanges, new internet exchanges, and ISPs and the eyeballs and the cable TV companies will be very interested and to connecting to your internet exchanges. That is, of course, I think that those are the basic strategies to come into the existing market. Thank you.
Thank you. And anyone who want to comment? Jack. Achiu, you go first, sorry.
Oh, sorry. I just want to say, it's very hard for new IX to grow. The attractiveness of an IX is like related to how many networks they are serving. If they have very few networks connecting, of course, the attractiveness is low. But like, I think, for the case of NCHC, right? If they have already gathered, the R&E networks in Taiwan, they already have the so-called anchor customers. And then they can start with smaller networks. And if they can get a lot of smaller networks to connect, then they may be able to get a larger networks to connect. Start from smaller networks. And since you have the anchor customers, I think it's relatively easier than others, which do not have anchor customers. If you are large enough, in fact, you are able to attract like big content provider, like what Guowei mentioned. I don't want to name that. And you can even, get them to pay if you are large enough. So I would say you need to be patient. You need to start from small, have anchor customers, and then when you grow back, then you can attract other networks to connect.
Okay,
that's probably the only way.
Don't scare the newcomer, get away. Okay, and the last one will be our most neutral IS provider, Chunghwa Telecom.
Don't mention it. Actually, it's really a tough topic to touch. I'm not sure I'm also rushed to talk too much about this, but as my personal opinion, I just share my experience for that. To too attractive for the tier 1 ISP or a large content provider to get into the internet exchange or data center, the incentives have two factors actually. The first one will be the cost, okay? It's the cost. The lower the cost they have, the higher willingness they have. So, for example, if the tier 1 ISP can get lots of low price, local resource to do the traffic exchange within the IX, it should be very attractive, I think. So, for the other factors, should be the service quality, actually. The customer of the tier 1 ISP still have the traffic need to communicate with others, even for the content providers or other, maybe other tier 1 ISPs. So they have to get a better quality or the cost efficiency places for them to do the traffic exchange, I think. So it's just an experience share with you guys.
Okay, thank you. In addition to the question, is anyone who want to comment or raise another question? Okay, no?
One more?
Okay, go on.
You want one more question? Okay, here's the question. And just like Chiu say, for the newcomer, because the NCHC is, well, the advantage of the NCHC is they don't care about the money anyway. The money is from government, so they don't really care. If they can get a budget from the government, at least right now have a 4 year. Okay, so there's an advantage. And like Chiu say, he can attract some of the small anchor, small ISP and to connect that. The question will be first, how they going to charge it? How they going to charge it? The small ISP or small anchor, they don't have money. They don't have money. And if really there is money, I think the Zhonghua Telecom will be more aggressive to catch them, instead of give it to the NCHC, because they will be competitor. Sorry, that is to be in business. It is a reality, And so it surprised me as well. I think Toyama and also Chihu. Did you see a public-owned internet exchange around the Asia region successfully? You are the chair of Toyama, you are chair of the APIX. Any public ISP successful?
Oh, you meant that the government-owned internet exchanges?
Yes.
Yeah. I've not seen such kind of a directly owned internet exchange by the government. But then SGIX, maybe you know the SGIX in Singapore. That was the government took an initiative to establish
Singapore is a very special case, you know that.
Yeah. So, yeah. And no, so not so. I think that not so many. And as far as I know, so I think no directly owned or government-owned internet exchange in the world. Yes. Yeah.
What about India? I think India is owned by government, right?
Oh yeah.
Next.
Oh, Nixie? You mean the Nixie?
Yeah, Nixie is run by government, right?
Oh, I do not think so. That is not only run by a government, but the government is one of the board members.
Oh, ISPA.
Yes.
Okay.
And other ISPs with a license are formed the board of the Nixie. Yeah.
I just want to add, Nixie is no longer the largest IX in India. The largest IX in India is TWIGF.
Ah, okay. Interesting.
Mumbai IX, yeah, formerly.
Yeah, formerly Mumbai IX. And I also want to add, maybe my IX is another example. My IX is actually set up by the government, but they now have a membership-based model. So, like in terms of governance, like the licensed ISPs would have the votes, would have the voting rights to elect the board members, and then they do the governance by themselves. I think that's another example other than SGIX.
But you are talking about HKIX, is that it will be, you are talking about is that before the new government or after the new government?
HKIX is quite different. HKIX is owned by the university, and of course the university is owned by the government.
You have very strong government now.
I don't know what we have.
Okay, we temporarily stop here. Actually, APNIC also helping to set up several national internet exchange in some developing country, as far as I know. You probably know better than me, and actually it's quite a lot. It's based on national internet exchange. Okay, we still have about around 10 minutes. Yeah, sure.
Yeah. We take care about the money. And because we have, but for, as I mentioned, because we have a government already support just hardware for build up. So I think we'll buy kind of a public-private and partnership called PPP, and we hope when we set up and we cooperate with some very experienced vendor to run in the business. Like we have already set up some major AI computing facility, and we will transfer this how to run and how to make a good business for this AI big platform. And we have 4 years to get some experience or some try, and we can sync up when we have some private company we're willing to do running this. But by now, because we have just set up a plan. Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, we still have 10 minutes.
So you want one question?
No, not from you. Okay, is there any other question from the floor except Guo Wei-Wu? Okay, I'll move to the last agenda. And the purpose of IS is try to encourage more ISP to participate. And is any better strategy or any other better way to encourage the more ISP to participate in IS, especially for Tier 1 ISP? And probably you can share your experience. And from remote side speaker first, Chi-Hu.
I suppose you're referring to, asking the Tier 1 ISPs to connect and provide free peering instead of pay peering. It's very hard, very, very hard. The way that I mentioned may be one of the ways. Like you start from having anchor customers which are big enough, and then attract smaller ISPs, smaller networks to connect. When you grow bigger, you attract the bigger ISP, bigger networks to connect. Then you may be able to attract the Tier 1 ISP to connect. But I think it's still very hard. Maybe you should, put it at very low priority. And maybe you should put having the large content providers, large CDN providers as higher priority than attracting Tier 1 ISPs. And if you can attract those large international cloud content CDN players, then you may become a regional IX. And if you become a regional IX, then you may be able to get the Tier 1 ISPs locally. I think those would be the last target. Don't put it as your top priority work.
Okay, move to Toyama-san.
Yeah. So connecting, encourage the tier 1 to connect to internet exchange is very hard. Yeah, so they do not want to connect, basically. But now one thing they are doing at our internet exchange is to connect into JPNAV and sell the transit on top of it. So internet exchange is an aggregation point of the smaller ISPs. So sometimes it is easy for them to provide transit services on top of this infrastructure. So not for settlement-free peering, but for selling the transit. That is one of the purposes to connect to the internet exchange. So in order to achieve that, with internet exchange, collect a lot of the smaller and the medium ISPs on top of it.
Okay, move to Zhonghua Telecom.
Usually larger ISP like IXP less than smaller ISPs, because smaller ISPs are mostly their target customer of the larger ISP. Okay, so I think the question should be how we provide incentives to the tier 1 ISP, because the cost should be the most important thing for them. So we can meet their requirement, provide a low price local loop, maybe attractive them to participate into the TWIGF, I think. So, and another factor should be the quality. Yeah, as I said previously, they have to exchange their customer traffic between other small ISPs, so there will be a bottleneck if they don't have a link with them. So I think the ISP should provide them for this service still. Yeah.
Thank you. Last one, Zhu Xianliang, Deputy Director.
And for our project, major is to connect the GSM, Government Service Network, and the TANET for research or for study, and also we are Torrent and the SPNet. So from a government service network, they have lots of government unit. So they have, I think where they have a major user. So hope from this user's need, we accept some ISP to connect with us and provide a good service. So maybe it's a good for government support the internet exchange and have some other government user and have some became some change. Thank you.
Okay, we still have a few minutes. Still open to the floor. Any question, please go to the mic. Say your name, your affiliation.
Can I clarify something?
Yeah, sure, go ahead. Chihu.
Yeah, I actually mentioned my IX earlier. In fact, I was not referring to actually IX that I work for. My IX is an IX in Malaysia, MYIX. Sorry if there was like misunderstanding.
No.
Just want to clarify that.
Go away, just misleading on purpose. Okay, any other question from the floor? Okay, if no more question, it's about time to adjourn our section. Before I adjourn the session, please give a big hand to all the panelists. And thank you for being with us. And we still have afternoon section, so please come back at the afternoon. I believe they have some dessert service outside. Thank you very much. And thank you, Toyama-san, and thank you, Chihu. Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.